Welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to address where all 32 teams are based on their preseason expectations. We're a third into the season, so we're starting to be able to see where these teams are and if they're overperforming, underperforming, or performing where everybody expected them to be. Before we get into it, make sure to like and subscribe, look out for future videos, the weekly power rankings, and let's get into it. Starting off with the Arizona Cardinals, I'm going to put them in D tier on their expectations because many people expected them to be around mid. And last year they were 7-10, so many people expected them to be around the same, and it seems like that's what they're on pace for. They had a really bad loss to the Titans. They started off 2-0, and they've lost four straight. They have not looked very good in those four games. Kyler Murray's hurt now, so lots of different injuries with that team and the revolving door at running back. Their expectations have been lowered due to all these injuries, but still not enough to be at expectations. A team at expectations is the Atlanta Falcons, who are 3-2 at this point. Many experts expected them to be around 500, and that's where they are. They're 3-2. Bijan Robinson has been as advertised. He's been one of the best running backs, if not the best, in the entire NFL so far. And this Falcons team could definitely get better. They've shown flashes, but they've also shown bad games like that 30-0 loss to the Carolina Panthers earlier in the year. Baltimore is a team that everybody would put an F on their expectations right now. This is a team I had winning the Super Bowl preseason, and they are more than likely going to miss the playoffs. Lots of injuries, lots of struggles defensively, just a disaster of a season. The Buffalo Bills are a team I'm going to put at B. If they were still 4-0 like they were 2 weeks ago, then I would put them at A because they were killing it the first 4 weeks, but the last 2 weeks they've just been a shell of what they were. Just not good enough in these football games against the Falcons and the Patriots. Just games that this team should be winning and they just did not. And they're still heading expectations, but once again, another team with Super Bowl aspirations, and they have not shown it the past 2 weeks. Carolina is a team I'm going to put in B because they're definitely above expectations. They're at 500, but they're not killing it. They're only at 500, and they've still shown bad games so far. But Rico Dowdle has been the MVP for them the last 2 weeks. Bryce Young has had a clutch drive or two this season, and just some big plays made by this Carolina team. And they're above expectations. Many people had them at 7-10, 8-9, and I think they're above that right now. They're playing solid football. Another team that's at C tier is the Chicago Bears. They're just at expectations right now, around in the same situation as the Falcons, basically. Coming off that week 5 bye, they get a big win in week 6, and they're just at expectations right now. Caleb Williams is playing like he's supposed to be playing. The O-line is protecting him a lot better than they did last year, and the defense is coming up with plays. Chicago can play a lot better, and we've seen that in flashes this season. Cincinnati's a team I'm not going to put an F due to the Joe Burrow injury. I'm going to put them in D tier because obviously the preseason expectation was getting back to the playoffs, but Joe Burrow's injury obviously derailed that. They've lost four straight now. They're in the same boat as the Cardinals, but there's still some hope. You still have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, who are some of the best receivers in football, and there's still parts of this team that don't make this an F season. So far, I think it's a D, though. Cleveland, I'm going to put them at F because they're really just looking worse than they did last year. Offensively, only Quinshot Judkins has been good for them. Every quarterback they've thrown in there has not done well so far. And Cleveland has really not looked in any of the games they played other than the game they won against the Packers. And so far, it's not been a great season. Cowboys, I'm gonna put at C tier. We're getting exactly what we expected out of them. A bad defense and an amazing offense. This offense is loaded, and they're getting CeeDee Lamb back this week. George Pickens has been great. Dak Prescott's playing at an MVP level, but this defense is just not good enough to compete. And many people preseason would have said the same thing. But since their offense is performing so well, many people expected this team to still get to 7 wins, and that's probably what they're projecting at this point. Denver, I'm going to put in B tier because they're playing like how they're supposed to, and they're playing well, but they're not killing it like some of the A tier teams I'm going to have here. Denver could be playing a lot better than they are. Once the offense wakes up, this team is going to be a monster. They're going to be hard to beat. And the defense is playing at A tier. The offense is playing at C tier, so I'm going to put them right in the middle at B tier. Detroit, another team that's 4-2, and just like the Bills, I'm going to put them at B tier because the expectations are high. This team only lost 2 games in the whole regular season last year, and they've gotten to that through 6 weeks. The offense has been as advertised for most of the season, and the defense has been let down at some moments, but once again, their expectation was getting back to 15 wins or somewhere around that, and they are not getting there. The Packers are another team that they've shown flashes this season, but they are not playing out of their mind as people thought they would after 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, I would have had them in A tier, but the last few weeks they've shown that they're really not killing this season like people would have thought after they traded for Micah Parsons. And the Packers are performing and having a B tier season. Houston, I'm gonna put them at D tier because it's not an F tier season. It would have been after they started 0-3, but they've won the last 2 and are gonna come out of their bye this week. This Houston team really is at a disadvantage with the division they play in, but Houston's defense has allowed the least amount of points in the NFL, only averaging 12.5 points per game at this point, which is crazy. And so their defense is performing at a very high level. Once the offense wakes up, this season should turn around. But for a team that made the divisional the last 2 years, the expectations are obviously high, and they have not hit that at this point. Indy is the first A tier team. Nobody thought that they would be as good as they are, and they are really, really good. Daniel Jones has revived his career. Jonathan Taylor is having his best year. Tyler Warren is an incredible rookie, and everybody is performing on that Colts team. And another team I'm going to put in A tier is the Jaguars, another team that really came out of nowhere and looks like a playoff level team. The defense is great. You get great games out of Travis Etienne so far this season, and both teams in the AFC South are killing it so far. The Chiefs are going to go at C tier. I know the expectations are very high, but this Chiefs team has shown that they're very good still. They have 3 quality losses so far, so I wouldn't put it past them being 3-3 and looking like the best 3-3 team in the NFL. But I think they're still at expectations with the way they're playing. They just need to come out with more wins than they have come out with. The Chargers, I'm putting in A. If they didn't suffer some injuries, then they would definitely be an A. But in B, that's a perfect spot for them. Justin Herbert's been playing well, but once Joe Alt got hurt, really not the same result. And this Chargers team could be a lot better. And they've shown that this season. But I don't know if they're going to get back to that level until they get back to full health. But still a great season out of the Chargers so far. The Rams are also going in B. They're hitting expectations, but this offense has been incredible. But they're not 6-0, and they're 2 plays away from being 6-0. If they were 6-0, they would easily be an A tier killing this season. But they're 4-2, and it comes down to that. Puka Nacua, he suffered an injury last week, so let's see how that affects their team. But so far, they're just at expectations, but not killing them like the Colts and Jaguars have. The Raiders are having an F season. Many people expected them to be a potential dark horse for a playoff spot, and they've been the opposite of that. Geno Smith has been statistically one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL this season. The offense has not clicked in the way that the Raiders thought it would, and they're losing a lot of games because of this offense. And really, the Raiders are not having the season that many people expected them to have, which was them surprising many people. The Dolphins are also having an F tier season. With all the offense that they have on that team, their offense should be playing a lot better, but Tua has really not been it. And this defense has been one of the worst. Just really a nightmare season, and really this team needs a regime change. The Minnesota Vikings, I'm going to put right at C because they're at 500. They're in the exact same case as the Bears and the Falcons. It's just really we haven't seen too much offensively from them. With JJ McCarthy and Carson Wentz, they really haven't been too good. And they're just hitting expectations. The defense has been as advertised, but can they get to that next level and potentially make the playoffs this season? It remains to be seen. New England is a team I'm going to put at A. New England's having an incredible season. Drake May has been great. The defense has been great. Really, everything's clicking. I predicted this team to make the playoffs, and they're on pace to do just that. With an easy schedule from now until their bye in Week 14, this team could potentially contend for an AFC East title, which nobody would have expected. But with Drake May's play, that's expected at this point. And the Patriots are just having a great season. The New Orleans Saints are having an F-tier season. Really, only one game where they looked pretty solid, and that was against the Giants, who are up next. But the Saints really don't have too much talent, and the goal for them should honestly be to not have too great of a season so they can reset and get a franchise quarterback. The Giants, I'm going to put at C. They're getting great play out of all their rookies, but their record does not show for it. It's fine. They lost Malik Neighbors. They lost a couple other pieces, but this Giants team, we've seen in their game against the Eagles, their most recent game, that they could be a potential surprise team this season. And if they won another 1 or 2 games like that, they would go much higher on meeting expectations. But this is exactly what the Giants wanted to see this season. The Jets, easily F. This might be the worst Jets season, and that's crazy because this is a franchise that hasn't made the playoffs in 15 years. Justin Fields has been terrible for them, and really, it's just not been what they needed to see. The Eagles, I'm going to put them at C because they are 4-2. They're in the same case as the Bills. They started off 4-0, but Jalen Hurts really has been exposed. We've seen his weaknesses this year. A.J. Brown's disgruntled. This defense is falling apart. And it's reminding me a lot of the Super Bowl hangover that the Eagles had a few years ago. The Steelers, I'm going to put them in B tier because really we have not seen that marquee win for them to be considered a true contender yet. But they're still having an incredible year. Aaron Rodgers is turning back the clock this season and looking like the quarterback that the Steelers need. This whole offense is looking good. The defense is just killer. And the Steelers team really has an easy path to the playoffs. Let's just see how good they can look for the remainder of the regular season. The Seahawks, I'm going to put in A tier because I was concerned about how would Sam Darnold fit into Seattle, and he has looked like a top 3 quarterback this year. He's been incredible. JSN's been incredible. The whole offense has been great. Defense has been great. This Seahawks team is a lot more of a contender than I would have had them preseason. The 49ers, they may be 4-2, but I'm going to put them in D just because they have so many injuries. And if you looked at their record and they still had a lot of the guys that they had at the beginning of the year, you'd be talking about them as a contender, but I think it's pretty consensus that this team will more than likely miss the playoffs because of a lot of the injuries they have. The Buccaneers are having an A-tier season. Baker Mayfield is the MVP candidate, MVP favorite at this point. Emeka Egbuka, before his injury, was the Offensive Rookie of the Year favorite. The whole offense is great. There's depth everywhere. They're so complete that the Bucs are having an incredible year, and they're number 1 on most people's power rankings for a reason. And this is a team I had missing the playoffs, and they look like the best team in the NFL. So obviously, has to be an A tier. The Titans are having an F season so far because really we haven't seen too much out of Cam Ward. We haven't seen too much to be happy about with the Titans. And really, they fired their coach already. Really already a downhill season for a season that was supposed to be a period of growth. And for the Commanders, I'm going to put them at C. 3-3. We know they could be a lot better than that. Jaden Daniels missed some time with an injury. Once he gets reacclimated to the field, they should be a lot better, but they're playing at a C level right now. But that's going to do it for this video. That's all 32 teams based on their expectations. Let me know if you disagree with anything, and I will see you in the next one.